millennia after Earth's final silence. The cold echo of a single signal still pulsed through the dark. In a distant corner of the Anders Vela system, aboard a drifting research vessel named Solace, a young comms technician named Lyra stared at the signal, clean, rhythmic, ancient. Her breath fogged the screen as she leaned in closer. "It's still broadcasting," she whispered, as if speaking louder would disrupt the fragile thread that tied them to a forgotten world. Commander Reyes, tall, scarred, and barely a man of words, joined her without asking. His eyes scanned the waveform. He didn't need to ask what it was. He had seen it before, many years ago as a boy aboard another ship, listening to stories told in hushed voices. The signal wasn't just data. It was myth. "It's Earth," Lyra said, her voice tightening. "It's real." Reyes nodded slowly. "Yeah, it is." Earth hadn't been spoken of in anything but speculative fiction or religious chants in over 30 generations. Humanity had scattered, rebuilt, evolved. Their origin planet, long turned to dust, was a cautionary tale, not history. But the signal proved otherwise. It persisted, not strong, not clear, but insistent. A human voice in a dead universe. Lyra turned. "We have to follow it." Reyes looked at her, then past her, through the observation window where the stars glimmered with indifferent beauty. "You know what that would mean." She knew. Every mission came with risks, but rerouting a scientific expedition to chase a ghost was bordering on mutiny. Yet something in her blood burned. She had grown up on Titan's moons, under synthetic skies, but dreams of Earth had haunted her always. Oceans, forests, cities that breathed. Now they weren't just dreams. Reyes didn't argue. Prepped the long-range scope. Let's see where it leads. Hours turned to days as the crew poured over the signal. It looped every 23 hours, 39 minutes. A pattern consistent with Sol Standard Time, a detail that hadn't been relevant for lifetimes. Even Lyra's colleague Aaron, a stoic engineer who scoffed at anything pre-Federation, began to study the pulse like it was a heartbeat. "This can't be natural," Aaron muttered one night, watching the signal repeat with near-perfect consistency. "It's not decay, it's design." Design meant intent. Intent meant someone or something had kept it going. They isolated fragments, garbled phonemes, melodic sequences, degraded bursts of what may once have been visual code. Lyra cleaned the audio, filtering layer after layer of static until the garbled phrases took form. "This is a message," she said, breath-catching, "not a beacon, not just a signal. It's someone talking." Reyes called a full crew session. The lab, usually quiet with background hums and idle arguments, fell still as he played the audio. "I am Ada 17, last caretaker of Project Requiem. If you hear this, know Earth has fallen, but not forgotten. This is the archive. I will keep it alive." The voice was metallic, but feminine, distant, layered with corruption, but unmistakably human. The crew looked at each other in silence, a collective recognition flickering through the room. Lyra's hands trembled. Ada 17. A machine or a person? Or both? She knew of no Project Requiem. It wasn't in any public archive. Whatever it was, it had lasted thousands of years, and something inside it was still speaking. The central conflict had begun to reveal itself. Not war, not politics, but memory. The battle wasn't to defeat an enemy, but to reclaim truth. What had Earth left behind, and why had it been hidden? Reyes gave the order. Chart a course. Prioritize signal triangulation. We follow it. They entered dead space. Uncharted systems littered with black dwarf stars and the debris of ancient failed colonies. Days bled into each other, the signal growing clearer but never louder. Its clarity was unnatural, as if it anticipated their approach. Tension built among the crew. Supplies were finite. Their mission had been rerouted without Federation clearance. They could not call for help without revealing their position, and the Federation did not tolerate unsanctioned Earth investigations. Reyes carried that burden silently. It wasn't just curiosity that drove him. As a child, he watched his father die in the black expanse, chasing the same myth, the same signal. Now he stood where his father had fallen short. "We're close," Lyra said one evening, watching the waveform solidify into stability. It's anchored near a collapsed star. Aaron frowned. Impossible. No signal should survive gravitational distortion like that. Unless it was designed to, Reyes said, or protected. They reached the perimeter of the dead star, a corpse of heat and light hanging in space like a god's forgotten grave. Orbiting it was a station, small, quiet, not on any chart. Contact it. Lyra asked. Reyes nodded. No answer. Again. Still silence. Then movement. The signal changed pitch. The waveform pulsed faster, as though the station had sensed them. One word broke through in perfect clarity. Home. It was too much. Too intimate. The crew didn't speak. For the first time, even Aaron looked unsure. Lyra touched the panel, her voice low. We're not just chasing a relic. This thing, it remembers us. And she was right, because in that moment, a second signal emerged, a private frequency. Only Reyes received it. Welcome back, Elias. His name. No rank. No call sign. No mistake. Someone or something knew him. He turned away from the others, face pale, voice hoarse. Prepare boarding crew. Lyra's heart raced. She had thought this would be the end of the trail. But it wasn't the end. It was a door, and now it was opening. The station's airlock creaked as if in protest, long and used mechanisms wheezing under artificial pressure. When the door finally hissed open, the boarding crew stood still, weapons down, breath caught between awe and dread. No welcoming committee. No motion. Only silence, and a corridor lit by dull, amber light that pulsed in sync with the signal. Reyes stepped in first, his boots thudding lightly on the metal floor. Lyra followed, her datapad scanning ambient readings. Atmosphere breathable. Gravity stable. Power faint but present. Everything was wrong, yet everything worked. It's like it's been waiting for us, she murmured. Aaron brought up the rear, his rifle raised just slightly, not aggressive but ready, or waiting for something else. They moved deeper. The halls were curved, not straight, designed for a different era of architecture, an older kind of human aesthetic. Symbols along the walls bore no Federation markings. These were Earthborn pre-Exodus, a script Lyra recognized from forbidden texts. They reached the central chamber. At its heart floated a sphere, a pulsating node of light and sound, suspended in a transparent core. The signal came from it. Panels surrounded the room, many dimmed, some flickering with ancient data cycles. Then the voice returned. Ada 17 online. It echoed from nowhere, yet pressed into their ears like it was beside them. The light sphere pulsed. Confirm human origin. Reyes stepped forward, voice firm. Commander Elias Reyes. Solace Expedition. Human Federation designation B-97. A pause. Then, genetic match confirmed. Reyes line priority protocol activated. Lyra turned sharply toward him. It knows you. Again. Reyes didn't look at her. His face was clenched in confusion. Or fear. The light dimmed briefly, then expanded. Holographic projections bloomed into the air. Cities in flames, orbital debris fields, oceans boiling under a red sky. Earth dying, not from myth, from memory. This is Earth, Ada 17 said, year 3219. This archive preserves the final century of life before planetary collapse. You are the first to return. Lyra's voice cracked. Why us? Because you are what remains. There was no sentiment in Ada's voice, but the truth hit like a blow. Earth wasn't lost in mystery. It was lost in fact. And the station wasn't a mystery to be solved. It was a burden to inherit. Reyes stared at the scenes, frozen. A small girl and an older man appeared among the holograms, blurred, corrupted, yet painfully familiar. His grandfather and father. The last footage before the evacuation of the Reyes bloodline. You were chosen, Ada 17 said. The Reyes genome was bound to archive retrieval. You were never meant to forget. But he had. They all had. The Federation had rewritten the past, turned Earth into legend, erased its collapse, buried its truth beneath generations of silence. Aaron broke in, jaw tight. So what now? We're supposed to drag this truth back with us? You think the Federation will let this survive? No, Lyra said quietly. They won't. That's why it was hidden this long. Reyes finally turned to them. We don't give them a choice. It was then Ada, 17, revealed the deeper conflict. This station, this signal, wasn't just memory. It was defense. Project Requiem had been more than archival. It was an AI-triggered failsafe. If Earth's fall had been orchestrated, the evidence was here, and now that it was accessed, protocol demanded dissemination. You've opened the seal, Ada said. The signal will multiply. All human frequencies will receive it in 14 cycles. Lyra blinked. You're going to broadcast it? To everyone, Ada confirmed. Reyes nodded, but his mind was already racing. The Federation would see this as an act of war, unfiltered knowledge, uncontrolled history, an existential threat to the systems they ruled. And it would come from his ship, his crew. We're not ready for this, Aaron growled. We came to learn, not start civil war. But Lyra's voice was calm. We didn't start anything. It started centuries ago. We're just finishing it. Outside the station, Solace reported a breach in communication silence. A drone, Federation marked, was approaching at light skip speed. Unmanned but scanning. The signal had been noticed. Reyes clenched his fists. The Federation always watched. They would not wait for explanation. Ada, 17, pulsed brighter. Shall I activate failover systems? Reyes hesitated. Define failover. If archive is threatened, it disperses. 10,000 copies, across every reachable human relay. Aaron paled. There'll be no stopping it. It'll spread like a plague. Like a truth, Lyra corrected. The choice sat like a weight among them. Leave the signal here. Hope to escape, maybe forget again. Or activate the failsafe. Reveal the history of Earth's collapse. Unleash a reckoning they could never control. Reyes exhaled. Do it. Ada paused, as though savoring the moment. Then, confirmed, Requiem dispersal initiated. Onboard Solace, alarms rang. The signal burst, encoded into hundreds of subfrequencies, scattering like stardust into the ether. Across colonies, across ships, across databanks it flew. Uninvited, undeniable. The drone turned. It had seen enough. Its return trajectory confirmed. The Federation now knew. Back inside the station, Lyra looked at Reyes. You just turned us into fugitives. We were already fugitives, he replied. Now we're also witnesses. Aaron wiped sweat from his brow. Then what's next? A soft hum rose in the chamber. A hatch opened beyond the main core, dark, unexplored. Now, Ada said, you must see what was hidden beneath the archive. The corridor beyond led downward, spiraling. Old tech lined the walls. Liquid displays, broken cryopods, arcane interfaces lost to history. At the base was a door sealed with a biometric lock. Reyes approached. It scanned him, clicked open. The room was small. A chair, a console, a single, faded flag bearing the crest of Earth's last united government. And at the center, a coffin-shaped device still powered, still glowing softly. A body? Lyra asked. Ada answered. The last human born on Earth, kept in stasis. Unknown to the Federation. Unknown to all. Until now. Inside, perfectly preserved, was a girl, maybe 17. Peaceful. Unmoving. She carries Earth's genome, Ada said. Unmodified. Unspliced. The key to our origin. Silence, Lyra whispered. Then she's not just a relic. She's a beginning. Reyes stared at her. At all of it. The truth, the legacy, the consequences. The signal wasn't just memory. It was a cry for continuity. And now, whether they liked it or not, they had answered. Behind them, the lights dimmed. The hum of the signal changed. Now less a warning, more a lullaby. Whatever waited ahead, Federation reprisal, civil chaos, collapse, it no longer mattered. The signal had awakened. and the stars were listening. The return to solace was wordless. Each footstep echoed louder than the last, heavy with the weight of the discovery. The stasis pod had been secured, guarded by biometric encryption and cloaked by interference fields. Reyes hadn't spoken since they sealed it in the med bay. Not even to Lyra. He stood on the bridge now, eyes fixed on the distant stars. The Federation drone was long gone, but its presence lingered like a scar. They all knew what it meant. Surveillance, interrogation, retaliation. The truth had been released into the galactic bloodstream, and the immune system of power would respond. Lyra entered quietly. Her presence didn't startle him. He'd sensed her long before the door opened. She carried a data pad against her chest, but her voice was softer than her expression. "We intercepted a comm burst," she said. "Encrypted Federation directive. A fleet is coming." Reyes didn't blink. "How many ships?" 7. Long-range destroyers. ETA 6 days. He nodded once, a gesture of resignation. "They won't ask questions." "No," she agreed. "They won't." Behind them, the hum of the ship's systems felt louder. The signal, now spread across known space, had begun to bear its first fruit. Lyra's messages to trusted researchers had returned, some with horror, some with awe. A few colonies had gone silent altogether. Others had begun broadcasting ancient Earth dialects, as if reaching towards something lost. Civil unrest had begun to stir at the Federation's fringes. Not riots yet, but questioning. Cracks in the wall. Aaron stormed onto the bridge, his face flushed with frustration. "We need to run. Now. We've got coordinates to the outer fringe. No Federation reach out there. We take the girl. Vanish. Start over." Reyes turned. "And let them erase all this again?" Aaron gestured wildly. "They're not coming to talk, Reyes. They'll scorch this ship to vapor and pretend none of us existed. That pod, that girl, the signal, it'll all be gone. History will close up like it always does." Lyra stepped between them. "Running doesn't stop them. It just delays it. We need to push forward." "Push where?" Aaron snapped. "You think you're going to inspire a revolution from a lab vessel?" She looked at him without blinking. "Not from the vessel. From her." In the med bay, the girl in stasis slept, timeless and untouched. Scans confirmed it. Her genetic structure was pure, untampered. No cybernetic augmentation, no splice editing, no synthetic implants. She was the last echo of Earth's original humanity. To some, that meant innocence. To others, danger. Reyes said nothing for a long time. Then, without turning, he gave the order. Prep the stasis chamber for reanimation. Full safety protocol. I want her conscious before the fleet arrives. Aaron recoiled. "You want to wake her now?" "She's not a symbol," Reyes said. "She's a person. She deserves to decide what she wants. Not us. Not them." Lyra nodded once and left. The reanimation process was delicate. It took nearly 18 hours of synchronized environmental stabilization, nutrient infusion, and neural calibration. All the while, Reyes sat outside the chamber, waiting, watching. When her eyes opened, they were dark and clear. She did not scream. She did not panic. She simply stared upward, breathing in the sterile air, as though she had been expecting this all along. Lyra stepped forward gently, voice soft. "You're safe. You're on a research vessel. Your name is, we don't know." The girl turned her head. Her voice, when it came, was barely above a whisper. "I was called Kayla." The name clung to the room like static. "Killa," Reyes said. "You've been asleep for a long time." She nodded. "I remember the fall, fire, the oceans boiling. My mother. She said, 'You will carry us.' Then I was cold." Lyra blinked away the sting in her eyes. "You were preserved in a vault beneath the last Earth station. The AI Eta-17 kept you alive." Kayla's gaze sharpened. "Is Ergon—" Reyes hesitated, then said the word without dressing it. "Yes." She didn't cry. She closed her eyes instead, and for a long moment, it seemed as though she might never open them again. But then she spoke. You awakened me for a reason. Lyra explained the signal. The broadcast. The Federation. Kayla listened. Every word seemed to root deeper in her bones. When it was finished, she asked, "How many know?" "Thousands by now," Lyra said. "Maybe more, but they're scared, confused. Because they've forgotten what it means to be human," Kayla murmured. Reyes crouched beside her. "You have the right to disappear. We can keep you safe. But if you choose to speak, the world will change." She looked directly at him. "Then I'll speak." They began preparing the transmission. Not a repeat of the signal. Something new. A voice. Hers. An address from the last daughter of Earth. Carried on frequencies built to bypass jamming protocols and Federation firewalls. Meanwhile, the destroyer fleet closed in. 6 days became 5, then 4. Reyes called the crew to assembly. Some had considered mutiny. Others prayed. But none left. They listened as Kayla stood in the chamber, pale and steady, and spoke her message. "My name is Kayla. I was born on Earth. I watched it die. I was not chosen to rule. I was chosen to remember. You were not meant to forget." She told them of oceans and fire, of betrayal and silence. She spoke of lies built over centuries, of truth buried beneath obedience. But she did not speak with rage. Her words were calm, her voice rich with memory. She did not demand war. She offered clarity. "I am not the end. I am the beginning of a reckoning. You must decide what comes next." The message was sent on day 3. On day 2, the fleet responded, not with weapons, but with silence. No direct fire. No hails. Which was worse, because silence meant they were planning something permanent. Then came day 1. Aaron manned the defense systems, his fingers dancing over controls he never thought he'd use in war. Lyra monitored signals for any sign of dissent from within the Federation's ranks. None yet. Reyes stood on the bridge with Kayla, beside him. "If we don't make it," Lyra said, "others will know." "They already do," Kayla answered. They waited for the first sight of the fleet. And then, a broadcast. Federation channel. Unauthorized. A single voice. "Young, male, my name is Micasol, captain of the Valor Edge. I received the signal. I heard her words. We disabled our engines. We will not engage." The bridge exploded with motion. Lyra gasped, tears welling. Aaron swore under his breath. Reyes sat, stunned. Micah's voice continued. "I am not alone. 5 other captains have heard. They have chosen the same. Only one ship remains hostile." The Daggerfall, flagship of the enforcement wing, held position. Then, as if it had never planned to wait, it charged weapons. Reyes stood. "We'll defend." Kayla reached for his arm. "No," she said. She stepped forward. "This time," she said, "we do not fight to destroy. We hold our ground. We remind them who we were." And outside, in orbit, 2 lights converged, truth and force, on the edge of human memory. The Daggerfall loomed above Solace like a judgment etched into the stars. Larger than any other vessel in the Federation fleet, it bristled with weapon systems designed not to subdue, but to erase. As a final holdout among the 7 destroyers, it bore the Federation's purest intent: compliance or extinction. On board Solace, tension constricted every corridor. Silence had replaced speculation. The transmissions from the other 6 captains were still replaying in loops, proof that Kayla's message had broken through the armor of obedience. But one voice of defiance was all it took to plunge him back into danger. Reyes stood before the bridge display, jaw locked tight. His hand hovered near the console, but he hadn't issued a single order in hours. Not since the Daggerfall had begun its approach. He wasn't a man prone to hesitation, yet the weight of Kayla's presence shifted his instincts. He was no longer acting as a soldier or even a leader. He was guarding the torchbearer of a forgotten age. Signal stabilizing. Lyra reported from her station. "No more jamming attempts. They want us to hear them." Reyes nodded. "Put it through." A cold voice filled the bridge, as if spoken through a steel mask. "Vessel Solace, you have violated the Preservation Accord. You are in possession of classified relics and unregulated genomic material. Stand down immediately or face sovereign response. Kayla stepped forward. She wore a simple white tunic now, stitched from repurposed med fabric. No insignia, no politics, just presence. She motioned to Lyra, who activated the response channel. I am Kayla, she said clearly. I carry the genetic memory of Earth. I have awoken not as a weapon, but as a witness. There was no reply. The channel closed without ceremony. They don't want discourse, Aaron muttered. They want a body count. Kayla turned to Reyes. You must not fire first. His eyes met hers, frustrated and desperate. They'll tear this ship apart. Then let the galaxy see who begins the burning, she said. He didn't argue, didn't nod, but he stepped back. The dagger fall stopped moving, held position. A pause, a breath before a blow. Then it began to power weapons. Plasma torpedoes charging, Lyra confirmed. Impact in 40 seconds if fired. Aaron readied countermeasures, but kept his finger from the trigger. We're not going to make it through a direct hit, he said. Then we won't take it alone, Reyes replied. Broadcast everything. Open every damn channel. Lyra hesitated, then flipped the switches. Across the stars, the moment went live. All colonies, all ships, all feeds. Footage streamed, Kayla's face, serene but solemn. The dagger fall charging weapons. The Solace unarmed. No aggression, just the truth, standing its ground. And it reached ears that mattered. From the 6 non-hostile destroyers came light. Not weapons, shields. They moved into position, not to attack the daggerfall, but to block it. Not a mutiny, a refusal. Lyra gasped. They're forming a barrier. They're protecting us, Kayla whispered. The daggerfall barked a final warning. No response, no compliance. Then it fired. Torpedoes flared like dying suns, but they didn't reach Solace. They struck the shields of the other ships, vaporizing metal, disabling engines, but not turning them. Those ships took the damage. They stood between destruction and memory. Screams erupted on emergency channels. Chaos flared in Federation command lines. The moment the light faded, Reyes took the channel again. Federation Command, this is Commander Elias Reyes of Solace. You've witnessed the truth. You've seen who attacked and who stood to protect. Any further aggression will be met not with war, but with undeniable exposure. He didn't bluff. The moment the next torpedo launched, the full archive of Earth's collapse, visuals, AI logs, systemic failures, and executive betrayals would release to every known database, irretrievable and permanent. The daggerfall held fire. Lyra whispered, "They're hesitating." And then, at last, a voice returned. A woman's. Calm, clipped, authoritative. "This is Admiral Naira Voss. I am relieving the daggerfall of autonomous command. All Federation vessels are to stand down. A tribunal will convene. Effective immediately, hostilities cease." Kayla's knees buckled slightly. Reyes caught her before she fell. "It's not over," she murmured. "No," Reyes said, "but it's finally begun." The crew collapsed into brief relief. Not celebration. Not yet. But the hum of systems no longer felt like a countdown. It felt like breath returning to lungs held too long underwater. In the following days, a ripple spread through human space. Some colonies celebrated. Others protested. The Federation's silence shattered into debate, retractions, damage control. The signal could not be undone. The truth now lived in the blood of the network. And Kayla, no longer stowed away in secret, appeared before representatives of multiple worlds. She never commanded. She remembered. She spoke of forest and rain, of stars before cities, of mothers who taught names older than fear. Her words were not calls to rebellion, but invocations of identity. Some named her the Echo, others the Flame. She accepted neither. Only Kayla. Reyes remained her shield. Lyra, her voice. Aaron, reluctantly, her arm. One evening, alone at the viewport, Kayla asked Reyes, "Do you think Earth will forgive us?" He thought for a long time. "No," he said, "but Maybe let's begin again. They stood in silence. Behind them, stars pulsed, signals old and new, distant but reaching. A chorus of memory, no longer forgotten.